So you have both of us today, which means we both have a lot to say. I have more to say. So I would encourage you to take a couple of deep breaths as we approach the message today. Saving Mother Earth. For me, this topic of creation, climate change, global warming is so very difficult. I don't feel I have any answers, because the answer is you and me and all of us across the globe and throughout the universe. It's overwhelming, it's hard, and I don't want to guilt you, and I don't need any more guilt myself. And when it comes to this topic, and especially this beatitude, I do feel meek. I feel weak. I feel unable to really make effective systemic change. And I probably have failed even to put a plan in place for my own life around global change, climate change, and around recycling and the environment. But Jesus said, "Blessed are the meek." Who are the meek? Jesus says in Matthew, "Learn from me, for I am meek and humble of heart." So Jesus was meek. Jesus did not abuse power. Jesus was gentle, humble, unassuming. Jesus was patient, and Jesus embraced absolutely everyone and everything on the planet. And instead of praising the proud and the arrogant and the violent, Jesus lifted up those who were humble. Jesus lifted up the lowly and the gentle. Meekness is a force of love and truth. Meekness is a force of love and truth that seeks to transform one's individual life and then transform the world. Jesus said, "Blessed are the meek, for they shall inherit the earth." Strange thing is, we've already inherited the earth. If you go back to the Genesis story, the story of Ish and Isha, Adam and Eve, or Adam and Steve, or Eve and Sally, they were given the earth. God said, "Here it is, the plants and the animals." They named the animals according to that beautiful mythical story. And then they walked in a beautiful garden, a perfect environment. That was their inheritance, and God said, "Here it is, love it, nurture it, take care of it."
I really love this beatitude. I love the idea of what it means to be meek, and even saying that word kind of brings calm. But, James, will there really be an earth to inherit? Humans seem to be on a fast track to destroying the very creation that God gave them in Genesis to care for. And I'm sure you've seen lots of this around.
Mm-hmm. Yes, I have, Pastor Susan. And I explained this is very difficult for me. But this is the most difficult part right now, actually, for me. It's this litany. It's this litany that reminds us as humans how far we have fallen short on caring for the earth and environment. It's about flooding. It's about too much water. We've heard about the Carolinas. Our climate change is contributing to an increase and an intensity of flooding, more frequent flooding, more frequent hurricanes, heat waves, droughts, wildfires, dust storms, and tornadoes. This is due to the fact that climate change entails changes in precipitation. Too much water, but there's also places where there is not enough water. Do you know where this is at? Salt River. Those are our wild horses, 250 wild horses to date. There's not enough precipitation around the Salt River now to feed those wild horses as in years gone by. So they've been feeding the wild horses, and they spent over $500,000 to date to keep those wild horses alive.
And in more distant places, we know about melting ice and rising sea levels. When I was in South Africa, I met a British man named Lewis Pugh, sometimes referred to as the human polar bear. He swims in waters where glaciers used to be. He shouldn't be able to swim there, but there's water now. It's no longer frozen. Lewis Pugh said this: "I think that I was slightly naive. I thought that if I showed people the beauty of the Arctic and the beauty of the polar bears, that they would care so much that they would stand up and try to make a change. But sadly, we know there's little evidence of any turnaround."
And Susan, what about mining in Arizona?
Please tell me, Senior Pastor.
Yes. I will tell you, Associate Pastor. We had to have a little humor, right? In a very difficult topic. But I think about mining, and I wish Mark was here, who works with our mining company just south of us, and Beth is off actually teaching Sunday school, his partner and wife. But in Arizona, 73% believe that the existing ban on new uranium mining near the park of the Grand Canyon should be continued. They said the state benefits more from outdoor recreation than it would from mining. Now that's kind of interesting, the choice, outdoor recreation and mining. So if it doesn't benefit us, what benefits us more? I believe what benefits us more is taking care of the environment. 96% of those that were surveyed said that keeping Arizona lands and waters healthy is critical both to the economy and to the quality of our lives. And beautiful to say that 96% included Democrats, Republicans, independents, all age groups, all genders. That's one place, at least we're in Arizona, we come together and we agree across party lines. So I spent about a month with the Lakota Nation on Pine Ridge Reservation in South Dakota, and I had a unique privilege of joining the Gathering for Mother Earth, they called it, on that reservation. And with reverence afforded a sacred being, the Lakota Nation men fell a specially chosen cottonwood tree that you see on this image, and they carried it to the center of the Sundance Circle as they were celebrating Mother Earth. My Lakota friends taught me what it means to be meek, what it means to be gentle, what it means to be strong, what it means to be courageous, and to care for Mother Earth. They actually believe that they have inherited the earth as their home. We have so much to learn from them as we live in our pavement and our cement desert landscape. The indigenous peoples also, Pastor Susan, they know that our earth is overpopulated.
I don't know why you gave me that touchy subject to talk about. Population, it's us. Maybe we shouldn't go there. Few people, though, are talking about population. There are just too many of us to sustain. So the earth can endure without humans, but humans cannot survive without planet Earth. How many times do we pause to think about that? According to World Watch, and I think these statistics are a little bit old, but I didn't really want to get newer ones because these are pretty bad. The UN projects that world population will increase 41% by 2050 to 8.9 billion people, with nearly all of this growth in developing countries. Even if the average American eats 20% less meat in 2050 than in 2000 total, U.S. meat consumption will be 5 million tons greater due to population growth. We spend a great deal of time talking about human rights, and don't get us wrong, it's important. But what about the rights of creation?
Amen.
Is that even a thing? Imagine what Earth would be like without us. So what we'd like to do for a few moments is let you imagine that and give you a few pictures to help your thinking. And I'd like you to reflect in silence. Just silently look at these images and consider what Earth would be like without us.
Please hold that one for just a moment. So what stirs for you as you watch these images of a world without us, without humans? The green?
Kind of reminds me of the movie that Will Smith was in when he was home.
Yeah, yeah,
Kind of reminds me of that.
yeah. Nature comes back. Peacefulness. Wildness. Tranquility. This is my favorite because of the background. So Earth provides enough to satisfy every man and woman's needs, but not every woman or man's greeds.
And I think we've really got, at least I'll speak for myself, into a place where we get into habits and we're just doing things and not really thinking about it. And in fact, it is greed. It's not what I need. And coming back to the United States, I've noticed some of these things. And quickly feel like I've become a part of stuff, even without making choices or decisions. So I think about this every day and becoming a part of a system of consumption and convenience and greed. I was in a small historic cafe in a US city for lunch. Someone invited me out after church, after I preached, and my usual drink is water, and if I remember, and I did this day, no ice, no straw, but yes, please, can I have a lemon if you have one? So I was dining in, so we were seated, we were going to stay for a bit, have a nice conversation. So the server brought what I ordered, as I ordered it, in a very large styrofoam cup. And I felt shocked for a moment, looking at this before me, and I thought, I didn't ask for this. I felt confused. I didn't know what to say. In fact, I started a conversation with her, and I thought, I get it. You got to have something if somebody's taking food away. But we're dining in. Styrofoam for everything. So I had it now. It was in front of me, and I had ordered it, and it was mine, and it was my waste, and it was my styrofoam cup. So in that moment, too, I felt like, well, before, when I was in South Africa, I could live a little bit meeker, a little bit kinder to the earth, even without doing anything or thinking about it. And here I had become a part of a system, a part of a habit, a part of convenience that I hadn't asked for. And this has been my experience, and maybe yours too, anytime you travel outside of the United States.
That reminds me actually of a time in Lincoln, Nebraska, when I was a campus pastor, and I finally made the decision to become a vegetarian or vegan, now a pescatarian. So many of the students that were part of the campus ministry came from incredibly large and wonderful farms in Nebraska and Iowa, in the good corn belt of the country. And I got to visit those farms, and I saw how cattle and chickens and pigs lived with absolutely no quality of life. And it was a sad, overwhelming feeling. And I thought, at least if I don't have to be a part of that system, I can potentially save a cow once a year, and I can save a number of chickens. So feeling overwhelmed, we are a part of the system. And we could be making different choices to be gentler and to be more meek and to tread more lightly on the planet.
We could spend the entire day judging others, pointing fingers. You know Pastor James found that slide. But really, how does sitting in guilt and judgment motivate us? Most people are not motivated by it, and I think if we were, we wouldn't be in this situation. We've certainly received enough guilt and pointing fingers over the environment. It's still important, though, I think, to name some of what is going on, to say what's underlying, what are the values that are at work here, to look at our collective values as well as a culture and the country. What's going on? What underlines this abuse and this rape and the overuse of natural resources? Well, we've named greed. We know that. There's some individualism and some selfishness going on where we know that other people live in community. There's a fixation on eating and drinking constantly, all the time, while walking, while working, while everything. There's a sense of entitlement, me and my and I. There's also this convenience, quick, fast-paced, gotta have it now, and over-packaging.
Over-packaging.
Over-packaging. That one really doesn't make sense. Sometimes it's about just what looks appealing. It's about design and packaging and names and labels and advertisements. Some of it is about ignorance. How did it get from the farm to the table? And when it doesn't look anything like something that came from the farm, it's all a big mystery, the processing that happens before it gets to us. And there's also this kind of disrespect for food. We eat on the run, we eat when we're talking, we eat at the sink, we eat in our cars, we no longer eat in community. Yeah, hands up, me too. We eat without thought. And for many of us, we don't even make the effort to cook it anymore. And what's underlying it is capitalism. More is better. James, help us.
Thank you. So Romans 8 reminds us that all of creation is waiting to be heard. All of creation is waiting to be heard. Waiting to be noticed. The creation is waiting together for justice. We are told in Romans 8 that all of creation is groaning, seeking to give birth to something new and something transformative and something alive. I ask you, can you hear the moans, the groans, and the suffering of creation? Can you hear the groan of God's glorious creation? The groaning is calling us to a place of abundance and not scarcity. Abundance versus scarcity. Which mindset are we currently living in? What mindset are you currently living in? You see, a person with an abundance mindset believes that there's always more of everything in life. Relationships, resources, opportunities, love and goodness and mercy. But somebody who lives with a scarcity mentality, they live in fear. Because somebody is going to get what I got, and there's not going to be enough to go around. Parker Palmer says it best, and Parker Palmer always says it best. By embracing the scarcity assumption, we create the very scarcities we are fearing. If I hoard material goods, others will have too little, and I will never have enough. I want my piece of the pie. Well, guess what? Everybody is scrambling for a piece of the pie when the whole pie is for everyone. Abundance is not something we acquire, it's something that we tune into. And that's what we invite you to do today, is to tune into abundance. Into I am abundance. God is enough. God is abundance. You are enough, and you are abundance. Creation is enough, and creation is abundance. Bananas are enough, and bananas are in abundance. This beautiful, beautiful piece of art reminds us that we are intimately connected as humans, as humanity, to creation. Psalm 19 says, "The heavens declare the glory of God." Psalm 19 tells us that the sky, that the earth, that creation is proclaiming the glory of God, is screaming, actually, the glory of God. Sometimes and often I miss the glory of God in our cement and pavement jungle, our desert heat oasis. Psalm 19 tells us that creation does not speak words, that the voice of creation is not being heard. But I would beg to differ, because when I open my bedroom door in the morning that opens out to my patio, I hear creation. I hear the drone also of cars and trucks and planes on 51 that often drowns out the birds and the gentle breezes that are singing of the glory of God. Because the din of the cars and the drone of trucks and planes, they sing the glory of man. So, my friends, Romans, the Psalms, both Testaments call us to live and to embrace abundance, or as Susan says, Ubuntu. I encourage you to reconnect, even reconnect to nature within this asphalt and concrete island in which we live.